Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm very excited today because today we finally get to start tearing apart the 2022 Ford Mustang Mach 1 with the handling package, guys. This car you guys probably haven't even seen a video for in a couple of months. And now we are finally ready to go ahead and start taking this apart. We just had to get that Corvette out of the way and a few other builds, but now we are ready to go all hands on deck on this car, guys. I'm super excited to tear this thing apart, guys. So in today's video, as you guys can see, there's a lot of stuff to tear apart on this car. We have damage in the front end, we have damage in the rear, and then we have the entire interior to strip apart because when we weld this quarter panel, we don't want anything getting burned in here. So what we're gonna do, guys, is today we're gonna go ahead and fully take apart the entire front end of this car, take off the body panels, the cooling system, and then we'll finally get to see the front of the engine because I'm really curious to see how the engine actually looks on this car. We also went ahead and we cleaned out this entire bay right here. This is where we're gonna put all of the parts for the car. There's already a few things over there. We got a wheel, we got two wheels, calipers, and then bumpers right there. And then I also did pick up some motor oil for this thing. When we do start it, then that way we have it. But the first thing we're gonna go ahead and do, guys, is we're gonna go ahead and try to take off this hood, and then we're gonna move on to the fenders, and then we're gonna go ahead and start tearing apart everything in this engine bay section. And one thing I did want to point out, guys, is this apron got absolutely smacked right here. If you guys saw the previous videos on this car when we talked about damages, the previous owner did tell us that this car was basically perched up on two rocks right here on the sides, back there on the quarter panel, and right here in the front. And if you guys look closely, there's a strut brace right here. And this strut brace saved this strut tower from getting pushed in completely. It did move a little bit, but we'll easily pull that back when we pull this. So other than that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take apart this entire car, take off the strut brace, take off everything. And let's just see, guys, what this car looks like under the skin. All right, guys, so it is finally starting to get cold out here. So I'm in my hoodie now, and we even got the propane heater on. That thing's just a big fireball in there, but it is working, and I am getting nice and toasty now. But I'm so excited to go ahead and start tearing down the Mustang, guys. Let's go ahead and get this thing torn down. All right, guys, so this is progress so far. This car is looking completely different. It's looking insane, but so far I got the hood and the fender off. And I want to show you guys real quick on this side that on sometimes when cars are hit and damaged, some screws are really hard to get to, like this one, for example, right under there. It's a better look at it right there. So in that case, you would have to use like something like this. It's like a slim wrench to get it on there, and then you can loosen it. And then for other things, you could use the drill. But if you also have trouble getting screws from the behind the fender because they're stuck, you can pry out the fender because it is already damaged, and it just works a lot better and easier to get it from this side by prying out the fender sometimes. So just depends on what kind of car you have, but you can pry things away from each other as long as you're not damaging anything else that you're still going to use. But yeah, guys, now we just got to get this fender off and then we can work on the front end. So let's do it. Alright guys, so check this out. So this is how far we're into the teardown right now. So these are all the parts I got off: the rocker panel, both fenders, the hood, this inner fender right here, guys. And just take a look at this front part of the frame damage here, guys. Take a look at this, how crunched it just got. It completely just pushed everything in right here, guys. But this is not bad at all, because take a look at this. This is where this piece ends up right here, and it just goes right there and comes over here, guys. It looks pretty simple to replace this piece. And if you look over here, the strut tower is completely fine. So this looks like a pretty simple piece to repair, guys. And then as you can see, we got everything else off. We can see a lot better now. There's a lot of structural stuff that was holding this stuff in. It didn't push any of this stuff in too much, so we're very lucky with that. And then this is the other side here. It's absolutely perfect, and this gives you a better idea. You can see all the seams of where this all goes. It seems like a pretty simple job, guys, to replace that frame. Hopefully I don't jinx it, but it seems like it looks pretty simple. It looks pretty nasty right now, but it looks like a simple repair. So now, guys, what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna see if we can tackle this whole front end area here and free up that engine. All right, guys, so it is time to go. It's getting pretty late now, but we did get a lot of work done on this car, guys. Take a look at it. It looks completely different. There's so much that we just tore down on this, and there's still a lot more to go, but I did get to peep at the engine just a little bit, because now this moves around a little bit more and we can see the engine, guys, and it looks pretty crazy. I can't wait to get that cooling system off completely so we can see the front of that engine. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and continue this all tomorrow, so I'll see you guys then. Alright, guys, so it is the next day here, and today we're going to go ahead and continue tearing apart the front end of this car. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to take off this entire cooling system here, this condenser, intercooler, and radiator, and of course the fan assembly as well. There's tons of lines and tons of wires to disconnect right behind this thing. If you look right over here, there's a big line right over here. This is for coolant right here going straight to the radiator, and this is from the reservoir going into the radiator as well. And then there's some condenser lines as well. Obviously, there is no more Freon left, as you can see it all pretty much leaked out, so we can go ahead and take those out without worrying about gas escaping from there. And then we also have some wires right here that we need to disconnect for the fans, and we just need to make sure that we unscrew everything and get this entire giant radiator pack off the car. And then we're going to go ahead, get this transmission cooler off, and then see what other stuff there might be back here that we might need to take off. Obviously, we need to take off this inlet hose as well, because it is broken, as you guys can see under here and right over here. So we're going to go ahead and take all this stuff off, guys. I'm super excited to go ahead and dig deeper into this car, so let's get it done. Alright guys, so check this out. This car looks absolutely insane with it being all taken apart right here in the front end, guys. And I'm super happy to announce that there's basically zero damage on the engine of this car. Nothing got hit. We were pretty lucky, honestly, about that, considering the type of hit that this car took and how much of a hit that frame took on that side right there. And surprisingly, even the rail is still straight, guys. Take a look at this, guys. So this is where the apron got hit right here. It got crunched right over here on this side structure as well, which we're just gonna go ahead and drill out those welds right there and get that part replaced. Although, when I looked up online, I'm pretty sure to get this piece, you have to order the entire strut tower, and they just ship you all 3 of those pieces. So I can't just get just that piece. I have to order it all, I guess. But I can just only replace this one piece. But right here, you guys can see that this rail is completely straight, guys. But moving away from the rail, guys, take a look at this engine, guys. Now, this engine actually is extremely huge, guys. It actually looks bigger than the one on the Camaro and the Corvette. It just looks a lot more bigger to me, and it probably is. But looking over here, guys, take a look at this throttle body right here. It was just like a little slight like bit of dust and dirt right there because the intake was cracked a little bit. But this is pretty much spotless after wiping it down. It looks amazing, guys. Like, this is literally a brand new engine. This car only has like 11,000 miles on it, guys. It looks amazing, and this engine is just shining. Like, look at that. And there's like, ooh, there's coolant in there. But there's like, this just shining. There's like barely any dust or dirt on this, and there is a cute little butterfly right there too. This looks amazing. We still do have to take apart some suspension on this side. And then on this side, I went ahead and I took off the wheel just so I can go ahead and get a better look at the suspension to see if anything is damaged here. Just a little sensor right here for the Magna Ride suspension, I believe. And then other than that, everything looks fine right here. And then we also can get a better look at this frame damage from underneath. And right here is those spot welds. We can get them very easily from right over here, guys. So I'm pretty excited to get to work on the frame damage on this car, guys. This car looks absolutely wild, just like this, with the entire front end taken off. And then right over here, guys, there were some like weird lines that are connecting over here from the radiators. And I actually found out that this car, it seems like it has like 2 types of transmission coolers. I thought that that big radiator that was in the center, it was actually not a big radiator. It just looked big, but it was actually the thickness that looked big, but it was not actually long in length. So we had this transmission cooler here, and then that big thing that I thought was big is actually a radiator for the transmission fluid as well. And that's right there, and it's about up to here. It's not long at all, but it is there, and that is what has, and those lines come directly from that cooler right there, and they connect to these lines right here that are coming from the transmission. And then there's some more lines coming out of that transmission cooler that lead to the auxiliary cooler on the side. I've never seen that before, but that's pretty cool. That's some good cooling right there for this car, because this car obviously needs all that cooling, guys. And then you guys might have noticed that there is some blue tape over on the wires right here. That's just because I went ahead and I labeled everything that is just disconnected from the car, just hanging around, just so we don't lose track of where these wires go. It'll help a little bit better to know where the wires go, because there is some wires that are cut and that need repair. So for instance, we have this wire right over here, and this one right here is for airbag sensor, but then there's another one right over here that is cut, and this is for the hood latch sensor. So those notes right there will just help a lot more to fix the cut wires. And then this one right here basically just fell apart in my hand. I guess it was already cut and then it just fell apart when I touched it, but this is for the MAF sensor. So I went ahead and I just taped those 2 together, and I put on both ends of the wires that's the MAF sensor, so we can go ahead and repair that. But other than that, guys, wiring harness is not too badly damaged. This is the main harness here, and it is perfect. There's just some auxiliary things that need some attention. Just 2 cut wires, hood latch, and the MAF sensor. And then everything else looks fine. Everything else that is cut is actually for like the front bumper harness, and those actually just disconnect and reconnect right over there. So everything is looking really good on this car, guys, and this is our parts area so far. So we have taken off 3 wheels right here. Number 4 is going to be over here. This one needs to come off too, so we can go ahead and get a good look at this quarter panel when we start doing framework on it. And then we got both inner fenders, the cooling system, the bumpers, the other wheels, the body panels, the radiator support, the rebar, and then the coolers right here. And then we also have this reservoir tank right here, which is in perfect condition. Unfortunately, the fans, they seem like they are in perfect condition as well, but there is some cracks here and there on it, so that will need to be replaced. So far, guys, this car is actually really easy to work on. There's no funky bolts or any weird clips or anything on this car. It's just the regular panel clips that you have, where it's just the push clip and then the other clip. So you pop the clip out and then the other clip comes out. It's like one of those ones. And then there's like no weird like T-bits or anything. Everything is just a hex bit, either 10 millimeter or 13 millimeters so far that I have came across. And those type of bolts got us to this point right here, guys. So it's pretty easy to work on this car, guys. Everything's super easy and super simple to take apart. And everything just comes off super easily. Even the wires unclip easily, guys. So everything on this car is pretty easy so far, and I'm really liking and enjoying the experience of working on this car, guys, because everything is just working so easily. And this car is an absolute beast to work on, guys. And it's an absolute beast on the track and road and everything, guys. So this car is, I'm just having a blast working on this car, guys. This car is amazing. And seeing the way that the frame comes off and the way it's sectioned is like in just a super simple way. It just makes it seem like the framework is going to be super fun on this car too and super easy. So overall, this car right now is a super fun thing to work on. Right here on the back, there's just a little bit that we need to go ahead and do. We need to take off the wheel, the inner fender, and then a bunch of just loose things that are over here in the back. Just get it all out of the way. We're also going to go ahead and take off the trunk lid, and then we're going to need to take off the tail lights and all those things right there so we can get this thing pulled out nicely. And then after that, guys, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to move on to the interior, guys. We don't need to really take apart the entire interior, just a little bit right now. We're going to go ahead and just take apart the entire driver's side section here, meaning we're going to take off the sill plates here, the carpet, the seat, and the back seat as well. Because framework-wise, this is the area where we need to do our cutting and welding. So we just need to strip this side of the car, and everything else we should be able to cover up with weld blankets. And I think that is the best way to do it, because I don't think we need to disassemble that entire side over there. But we'll go ahead and move on into the interior and the trunk disassembly once we are done with the rear end of this car, guys. So I'm super excited, guys. Let's just go ahead. Let's get this thing taken apart even more and make our parts list even longer. Alright guys, so check this out. So I basically got the whole trunk area stripped apart so far. As you guys can see, I went ahead and I got all the trim paneling off over there on that side. And I also went ahead and I took off the subwoofer on this side because I had to take this tail light out. And if you guys look over here, there's a computer module right over here, guys. And I don't know how, but it just appears that the damage stopped right at that computer module. That is crazy, guys. It's literally right there. You can see it through the hole. So we're gonna go ahead, take that computer module off so it doesn't get damaged when we do framework. And this one too, right here, just got barely missed. So that's pretty crazy, guys. This car is just really, really lucky with the way the damage went. And the damage in there does look pretty bad, but most of the damage that's in here is actually quarter panel, because on these cars, the quarter panel, you can actually see the backside of the quarter panel through the trunk from like here on out. This is all just quarter panel on the backside. You can actually see it. So this is all quarter panel right here that I'm touching. So you can see all the quarter panel. It's pretty crazy, but we can definitely get this all repaired and replaced, guys. I'm super excited to get to work on that. But let's just go ahead and keep getting this thing stripped down even further. We still have some brackets to go ahead and take off. And then we have to take off this entire giant trunk, which is going to be super cool because it's going to come off with the spoiler. So let's do it. Alright guys, so check this out. So the exterior of this car is basically 100% disassembled. I took off everything that we need to order for this car except for the suspension. But let's take a look and see what this car looks like now, because right now it's basically just a shell on the exterior. Like, there's a lot of stuff has been taken off of it. Alright, so the front end is still the same as it was last time. There's nothing else that was removed here, but we did focus on the rear end now, and there's tons of rear end parts just all over the place. Even the Bang & Olufsen subwoofer, that was super sick, and it's surprisingly only held in by 3 bolts, and it just plugs in with 1 wire. But right here on the quarter panel, you guys can see I completely took off everything, all the wires, all the brackets, everything. And I even went ahead and I took off the gas cap because it's in perfect condition and I don't want to get damaged. So basically now we have a bit of an area where we could pull from right over here, and we can even drill a hole and we can put a bolt through there and we can pull it with that too. And then right over here, as you guys can see, all this frame damage right over here. I just looked up this taillight pocket and this piece right here. Surprisingly, from what I found online, this piece is actually sold as one whole thing. Like, it's all connected already, and you can just buy that whole thing, and it goes from over here to over here and like a little bit up here. So that's pretty cool. We can replace that whole piece in just one large piece. Basically, we don't have to worry about buying it in sections. And then the quarter panel comes in one large section, and then I have to figure out what the part number is for this quarter panel extension right over here. And then we also need to figure out the part number for the floor pan on this side. As you guys can see, this floor pan right here is completely fine, but if you look over here, it's just a little bit crunched right over here, so it might need to be replaced, or maybe it could be saved. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out once we pull this all out, but it doesn't look too bad over here. Of course, when we pull it out, it's gonna look even better. But so far, guys, everything looks pretty good. I'm happy that the damage didn't like go all far over here or into this stuff over here. A lot of this stuff could actually be straightened down, and then obviously a lot of it also still needs to be replaced. But it's looking pretty dang good, guys. If we look over here, when we took off the inner fender, you can see everything right over here. It looks pretty good as well. It looks like that this is the wheelhouse panel right here, and everything kind of just comes off in sections, and it looks pretty easy to be able to take this stuff apart, guys. On this side, I didn't do much. I just took off the inner fender so we can look at this area over here, so we can make sure that when we're doing the frame pulling and the quarter panel swap and everything, we can just look at this side for reference. This side just has about like 2 or 3 pieces of suspension damage. It has this control arm right here, and it has the knuckle damage, and I think that's about it. And that end link right there is also a little bit bent. And this is the suspension right over here on the front passenger side. It doesn't look too bad as well. I mean, all of it is gone, but the subframe and everything where it mounts to looks pretty good. Nothing looks too horribly damaged. The frame rail looks fine. So basically, to get this off, all we need to do, I think, is just disconnect the tie rod, get that large bolt there and that one there, and this whole thing should just come off as a whole. And then we can go ahead and unscrew the brake line and take off the strut from up here. And then as far as the interior goes, I'm pretty sure all we need to do is we just need to take apart some trim panels here and this front seat right here, and then the back seat over there, and just that quarter panel area over here. And that should be all that we need to take apart other than the airbags. So all these parts over here, we got all 4 wheels off of the car right over here, guys. So right over here, we have the computer module, we have the subwoofer, we have some stuff that was under the storage compartment in the trunk, just like a tire inflator kit, some license plate screws and things like that. And then the trim paneling right over there, the tail lights, and then a bunch of broken brackets and stuff. And then right here is the original headlight from the car, but it is destroyed. And then those are those 3 DRLs, that signature Mustang DRL. Those are those right there. Those fell out of the headlight. There are these ones right there. 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty sick. 3 LEDs just stacked up on each other, just like that. And that's really it. There's not much to it, but they do look really sick. And then right over here, I really want to show you guys this. This is a GT500 diffuser. This is actually what Mach 1s come with as stock. So take a look at this diffuser, guys. It needs to be replaced, at least this outer part right here. But the skid plate under here, it actually has a cooling ability right here. It basically scoops air from under the car while you're driving, and it launches the air to this diff cooler right over here, guys. That is super sick on how that works, guys. There's just so much performance technology on this Mach 1, guys. It's insane. All right, guys, but now before we do any more work on this car, I want to go ahead and clean up this whole area here, make sure everything is sorted away and put away nicely so we have more room to put more parts. Alright guys, so check this out. So this area is now fully cleaned up. We got all the parts stored away right there on the side, and we have room to put even more parts. We're probably gonna have to go ahead and find a different place to put these parts though, because when we do the frame pulling, that is where the frame machine is gonna be, probably in that general area. So far there's already so much taken off of this car, guys. But if you come over here on this passenger side, what we need to go ahead and take off is some wires and lines right here that are cut. We're gonna go ahead and take off this broken ball joint off of the sway bar, take off this control arm, take off the tie rod, and this broken brake line right here, as well as the MagnaRide sensor right there. And we're gonna go ahead and take off what's left of the strut here, guys. But let's go ahead, guys, and go ahead and take off all this damaged suspension. Alright guys, so here's the progress so far. I got all the suspension off, all the damaged pieces. Only thing left is the inner tie rod, which I'm currently working on getting out right now. Everything else came out, and I also went ahead and I just cleaned off all of the spilled fluid off of the frame, all of the fluid from the strut and from the oil cooler when all those things let off a bunch of fluid. I just went ahead and cleaned all that off. It looks a lot better in there now. And just take a look at how nice and shiny the sway bar looks now with all that oil cleaned off of it. But it's looking really good, guys. The last step is to take off this inner tie rod. So far, these are all the pieces I've gotten off. Right there is what was left of the spindle section. That's the top of the strut. That is the outer tie rod, which needs to be replaced because it is leaking grease. Then that's the brake line with its bracket. And then this is like a ride height sensor type of thing for the struts. But guys, I think I have concluded that the steering rack on this car is pretty much busted, because when you turn the wheel, this is what it sounds like. It never turns to the left, and I turned it all the way to the right now to get to that inner tie rod, and now I cannot turn it back. No matter how much it... Yeah, I think that steering rack is toasted, guys, but we can at least go ahead and get off that tie rod. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, check that out. So the tie rod is now off. And now basically this whole side is just ready for the new parts to be slapped on. We basically took off everything that needs to come off on this side. Here's all the suspension that was taken off from the front passenger side. This is pretty much what was left. So we have the entire spindle section there. We have the top half of the strut, the tie rod, as well as the brake line with the bracket, and the MagnaRide sensor for the ride height. And then on this driver's side, it also needs a new sensor for the MagnaRide, so we're gonna go ahead and take this one off too real quick. And then guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna finally move on into the interior, get that stripped down, and then we are completely done with the teardown on this car. Guys, looking behind me now at the pile of parts that we pulled from this car, there's actually a lot of stuff back there. And don't forget all the stuff right there too. There's tons of parts from this car that we have taken off, guys. But surprisingly, it's pretty easy to take this thing apart, and it's actually really fun to take this car apart too. Stuff just comes off easily. The only time I came across a funky bolt was for the computer module in the back, and it was just 2 T20 Torx bits. But yeah, guys, other than that, everything else is either a 13mm, a 10mm, or some sort of a socket size hex nut. But nothing, no funky type of screws, no funny business going on here on this Ford, guys. So everything is going great right now with the teardown, guys. Now we're ready to take off that sensor right there real quick, and then we'll move on into the interior. So let's do it. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I got off that sensor right here. So here's what's left of it. I got the ball joint out too, guys. I just used one of these tools right here, and I just put it right there on there, and I just popped it clean out. And then there's this link. This is fine. I just need that ball piece to be connected to that, so we got to order this thing. But take a look at all of the sticks and things in here, guys. There's just so many sticks, and then I see like a bunch of branches. If you look closely right there, there's a branch right there. Let's see what we got. Oh gosh, that's a big branch right there, guys. Take a look at that. Might have an entire tree in this car. Oh gosh, look at that. It's pretty cool. Now I'm gonna have to do some more sweeping, but maybe the steering rack might be fine. Maybe there's just a tree branch or something jammed in it. So what we're going to be doing here in the interior right now is we're just gonna go ahead and take out the front seats and the trim paneling that's going through this side right here. Alright guys, so I got both front seats out, and these look absolutely amazing. Take a look at these seats, guys. They're so cool. They look amazing. We do have to take the seat skins off though because the airbags are blown. But yeah guys, those seats look crazy. But moving on now, guys, it's time for the rear seats. And it's my first time doing these, but if I'm correct, I believe the way you do these is under here, there's like a little bit of a lever that you push, and then the seat should just pop out. Alright guys, so I got my hand on the lever. Now if I just push on it, it should just lift. Oh, that's super easy. A lot of cars are not like this with the little lever. You just got fish for it, and you push it. Check that out, guys. And this whole thing comes out. All right, so if you guys look closely right here, you can see this is your clip, and all you have to do is just push that down. And then there's one right there on the other side, and that's all it is, and that thing just comes right out. And then as for the seat back right here, super easy as well. You just pull these tabs right here. These pop right down. And then in here is a 15mm nut. Right there is a 15mm bolt. And then right over here is another 15mm nut. And then these come out as well. So super simple, guys. Ford just makes it easy. Alright guys, so check this out. Take a look at what's going on behind me, guys. I got the entire interior out. Basically everything we needed to get out that is either damaged and needs to be sent out for repair, or just to get out of the way so it doesn't get burned when we weld. Alright guys, so check this out. So right over here we have the rear seats right there, and then we have some trim paneling for the B pillar as well. This one goes from the B pillar to the C pillar, and then we have the two front seats, and then some leather trim paneling that goes on the side of the center console as as well as the center console right over there, guys. And then right over here we have the trim paneling for the inside of the quarter panel, and then we just have a little small piece of carpet that goes behind the rear seats. And then while I was at it, I also went ahead and I took out the seatbelt and the airbag module, since they both need to be sent out for repairs, as well as those seat skins. But take a look at this interior now, guys. It is just completely stripped. There's like nothing left of this interior. Take a look at this, guys. So in here, guys, I went ahead and I freed up all this space right here. So when we pull and cut and weld, nothing gets burned or damaged. The damage in the quarter panel is just focused back there. Nothing really traveled up into this part here. But since we are splicing the quarter panel and around here and here, I went ahead and I took all that out. And when we do weld, I can just take this carpet and I can fold it over very easily. And that way that won't get burned. And then in future videos, we'll go ahead and take out those airbags. But other than those airbags and the suspension on the rear passenger side, and then just a few little things here and there, guys, we pretty much got all the main stuff off of this car that we needed to, guys. And this thing is pretty much all bared and stripped out and ready for framework and welding. That is the first thing that we are going to tackle on this car. Is next we are going to be starting on some framework. But guys, that is all for today's video, guys. I'm so happy that we're finally getting to work on the Mach 1 and we got this much done in one video, guys. I'm super happy about that. I'm super excited to work on this car. I think this is day 4 of me coming in to go ahead and tearing down this car. But that is all for today's video, guys. And if you guys are liking this Mach 1 build, then go down below, hit that like button. While you're at, there's a shiny red subscribe button that you should click. And guys, tomorrow morning there is a car going up for auction that I am going to bid on. It's potentially going to be the next brand new build for the channel, so be ready for that, guys. New build coming soon. If you have any questions or thoughts or anything you want to leave, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. But that is all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.